On August 4th, a large-scale protest erupted in Zangyo, Sichuan province. Thousands of citizens stood up for a young girl who had been bullied. A large crowd gathered at the city government to protest, prompting authorities to deploy a heavy police presence for a violent crackdown. Several protesters were arrested. Some people were dragged by the police on the streets. 2 citizens were surrounded and beaten by a group of officers, with a man fiercely protecting the girl beneath him. One lone teenager was beaten by 4 special police officers for an extended period. At the protest site, a civilian, unable to bear the abuse, clashed with a special police officer. Nearby delivery workers and other citizens attempted to intervene, but the officer responded by hitting several people and threatening them with pepper spray. The incident started on July 22nd, when a 14-year-old girl in Jiangyou was bullied by multiple people. On August 2nd, a video of the bullying was released online, sparking outrage. The next day, the video went viral on social media. The video showed a girl being surrounded by several girls of the same age in an unfinished building. She was constantly taunted and beaten. The bullied girl begged for mercy, saying her family would report it to the police. One of the attackers responded, "You think we're scared? It's not like we've never been to prison before." The girl cried, saying, "I know you've all been inside more than 10 times. You get out in just a couple of days." A netizen who knew the victim posted they were classmates in elementary school. The girl was often bullied at school because her mother was deaf and mute. A reporter from Jiangxi Radio and Television contacted the victim's family. They revealed that this was not the first time the girl had been bullied. She had been targeted multiple times by the same group of people. Not only was she beaten, but she was also frequently extorted for money. The family stated that, so far, the perpetrators' families had not apologized. They strongly demanded that the authorities handle the case fairly, and that the perpetrators' families must apologize. The video of the girl being beaten caused a huge uproar online. However, the official report stated that the victim had only sustained minor injuries, which further angered the public. On August 4th, a large crowd gathered at the city government to protest, and the authorities responded with a violent crackdown. A netizen revealed that the officers who suppressed the protest were not from Jiangyou, but from the special police in Mianyang, Sichuan. This is a typical move by the CCP, as local police tend to avoid extreme actions to maintain good relations with locals. This tactic was similar to what happened during Hong Kong's anti-extradition movement, when mainland police were sent there to intervene. In the video, you can see large groups of out-of-town special police officers rushing to Jiangyou. A netizen revealed that in front of the Jiangyou city government, citizens who were arrested were transported in trucks typically used for pigs. On the evening of August 4th, the Mianyang police in Sichuan claimed that the citizens who were violently arrested were taken away for blocking traffic and refusing to listen to the police advice, which sparked mockery in the comment section. An eyewitness, Ms. Wang, told reporters, "A lot of people came today, and they were still arresting people at the scene. There were police everywhere, and I saw 3 people being arrested. There were elderly people and children among them. Many people had already been arrested. The parents of the child who was beaten were also at the scene, and they had fainted several times. I heard the father of the child who beat the girl is a government official." She added, "The people demanded that the parents of the perpetrators apologize, but the government responded, 'Why should they apologize?' This caused public outrage. Now, the police are using force to suppress the crowd. If they see anyone filming, they arrest them. The government has been arresting people at the scene, and they're constantly dispersing the crowd. The crowd is not backing down. Now, the officials are surrounded inside the city government building. The beaten girl's mother is deaf and mute, and her father works out of town, so he's rarely home. There are at least several thousand protesters, and the roads around the Jiangyou Grand Theater have been completely blocked. The area is packed with people." A local resident told reporters, "The police arrested a truckload of people and locked them in the back of a big truck. They blocked the roads, and more than 100 people from the city came. This matter is likely to be suppressed tonight. There are dozens of police cars on the road, and some people have been injured. The police, prosecutors, and courts are all on site handling the situation. If they don't suppress it, the crowd will likely escalate tonight." He said, "The parents of the beaten student kneeled down, asking the government to intervene. Her parents and uncle were there. Her mother is deaf and mute and had been bullied. She was beaten on July 22nd, and her family reported it to the police on July 28th, but nothing was resolved. The parents of the children who beat her seem to have connections, and the ones doing the bullying are children of officials." In a video, a man in black, who appears to be a police chief, threatened to arrest the victim's family, saying, "I'll say it again. Are you leaving? If not, we'll take action." The victim's family kept asking him, "Why should we leave? Have I broken the law?" At this point, the victim's son stepped forward to protect her, stating that he had no illegal items or weapons and asked why the police were arresting them. In a fit of rage, the man in black ordered 5 or 6 police officers to rush forward and arrest the son. Despite the continuous arrests, the protest persisted into the evening, with the crowd refusing to disperse. The citizens of Zangyo began hoarsely singing, "Everyone is forced to make the final cry, rise, rise, rise." This is the Chinese national anthem, March of the Volunteers, which ironically contains many lyrics that oppose tyranny. The anthem has been banned by the authorities from being sung in public. The video shows that while citizens were confronting the police, they continued to sing the March of the Volunteers. Meanwhile, the police silently increased their forces. Suddenly, Mianyang police seemed to receive orders and rushed in to arrest the citizens singing the national anthem. Many were detained at the scene. Onlookers shouted, "The police are hitting people, bullying the common people." At another intersection, the police, accompanied by a group of mysterious individuals in black, faced off with the citizens. The citizens warned the police not to break the law. Initially, the police did nothing, but once they received orders, they charged at the citizens and violently suppressed them. At 3 a.m. on August 5th, Mianyang police began a large-scale violent crackdown, with citizens fleeing in all directions. About half an hour later, seeing that the crowd hadn't dispersed, the police started another sweep. People threw traffic cones at the police, and several more citizens were violently arrested. Earlier, during negotiations with the local government, a Jiangyou citizen gave a speech, advising the officials on how to enforce the law and handle bullying cases. This prompted applause from the audience. A netizen commented, "It's ironic. You think you can educate the CCP leaders with your speeches, but do you really think that the CCP, which is like a bandit, is capable of being reasoned with? The more applause you receive, the more people will learn the harsh reality when the crackdown comes. That night suppression was the best response to your speech." Before the violent clearing of the square, citizens collectively reminded the police to serve the people. A netizen commented, "The people of mainland China are truly pitiful. Soon they'll see how the people's police really serve them." A Mianyang netizen revealed that on the evening of August 4th, many special police officers were patrolling the city center. Security was heightened at major shopping malls like Kaide, New World, and Wanda, as well as KTVs and other crowded places. Police cars constantly blared sirens, and pedestrians were prohibited from taking photos. A large number of young people's phones and ID cards were checked. The netizen also revealed that Mianyang's educational system, including the one in Jiangyou, was created by local high-ranking officials as an educational ministry, which was described as the worst and most corrupt. He mentioned that schools such as Mianyang High School, Nanshan High School, and those in the Yanyi Mountain Educational Park had severe bullying problems, and hoped that overseas media could help expose them. Analysts pointed out that China is now a massive prison. The government at all levels, judicial bodies, educational departments, propaganda agencies, and even senior executives in state-owned enterprises have formed a large and tightly organized criminal gang. They each have clearly defined roles and share the benefits within their areas of power. This gangster-like organization has already spread to the grassroots of the government, such as street offices and community property security in cities, and village heads and village committee members in rural areas. The parents of the students who committed the assaults are children of people working within the education and public security systems. Even if their parents are just regular employees, they can arbitrarily oppress and bully the powerless. Even if the police make a show of arresting them, they're released in just a few days. The entire country has completely become gangsterized and is openly corrupt. It's not an exaggeration to say that most ordinary people in China are living in hell. Those with any means choose to escape this corrupt system. The issue now is that young people who cannot leave China are increasingly learning about these hidden truths through the internet. The CCP's propaganda machine is struggling and can no longer completely suppress the truth like before. Meanwhile, with the continued economic decline in recent years, many ordinary people are living in hardship. Years of injustice and dissatisfaction have built up, and society is like a powder keg, ready to explode at any moment. In fact, the CCP is well aware of this, and after years of maintaining stability, it has come to the conclusion that negotiation was never an option. Instead, they rely on heavy-handed tactics, using terror to suppress public anger. Terror, after all, is the CCP's most effective weapon. So, we see the police not only beating men, but also women and the elderly, even if there's no real threat. And even when people are just trying to reason. As some people say, we came to reason, or we're singing the national anthem during the protest. Yet they still don't understand the CCP's approach. The CCP wants to instill fear in people, and is not there to be reasoned with. Since July, protests against violence have been rising across the country. Just a few days ago, another protest broke out in Mianyang. On August 1st and 2nd, hundreds of tenants in the Shiqiaopu community, Puming Street, in Mianyang, staged a protest for 2 consecutive days, They blocked roads and protested the community's forced collection of parking fees. On the evening of August 3rd, the tenants' protest entered its third day. The tenants successfully demolished the fee collection gate set up by the community, achieving a preliminary victory in resisting the forced parking fees. On the same day, villagers in Jiulong Town, Guangxi, also launched a protest, blocking the Jiulong toll station on National Highway G325. They protested the local government's illegal and arbitrary charges and road blockages. The villagers faced off against a large number of police officers. That evening, under pressure, the local government removed the cement blocks that had been placed to block the village roads. The villagers said that the Jiulong toll station had already exceeded its toll collection period in 2024 and should have been removed according to regulations. However, the local government, in order to raise funds, continued to charge fees. They even sealed the village roads with cement blocks to prevent villagers from taking alternative roads. Since 2009, China has abolished the toll collection policy on national highways, but starting last year, many local governments have revived the tolls under the guise of operation and management. On April 12th this year, villagers surrounded the Jiulong toll station for the same reason, forcing it to halt the charges temporarily. However, just 2 days later, they resumed the toll collection. In the video, a man in a white shirt extends his hands toward the police, indicating that he is not afraid of being arrested. Due to insufficient police forces, no one was detained on the spot. However, when reinforcements arrived, the crowd of onlookers began shouting, "This is chaos." On July 28th, early in the morning, in Wuhan's Jiang'an region, founders of the Zangyo Garden community clashed with security guards while protesting the construction of Metro Line 12, which was proceeding despite opposition from the public. Zangyo Garden, built in 1998 as emergency housing for disaster victims, is a multi-story prefabricated structure that has already shown signs of sinking and cracking. The construction of the metro line under the community could further damage the already fragile foundation, putting the lives and property of hundreds of residents at risk. In the video, a protesting resident is seen pushing his motorcycle in front of a moving truck, attempting to block its progress. A local netizen commented, "Why does the Wuhan government love building the metro? It's mainly because the large-scale project gives more opportunities for corruption at every step." Even if the national government does not approve the metro project, Wuhan will still forcefully build the steel car in Guanggu, worsening the traffic situation. This is because the streetcar doesn't need national approval, and the city investment company can be used as an ATM. Another netizen remarked, "This is a foreseeable disaster." Recently, new situations have arisen in the growing wave of protests in mainland China. In Beijing, official petition interception personnel who have been openly abducting petitioners have become a regular occurrence. However, some petitioners who had once held onto hope for the CCP's judicial system are now starting to fight back as a group. In fact, some interception officers have been beaten by petitioners. On August 4th, a video surfaced online showing two young men in white shirts grabbing an elderly petitioner and forcing her into a van parked by the roadside. The van was met by police officers in uniform. The elderly woman struggled and cried out for help. Other petitioners rushed to surround the vehicle, but were unsuccessful as the van drove off. However, several male petitioners managed to stop one of the interception officers. They knocked him to the ground and pinned him down, preparing to call the police. Unexpectedly, another interception officer rushed over, rescued his companion, and the two of them fled together. A netizen left a comment under the video saying, "I once had the opportunity to take a job watching petitioners. It was 400 yuan a day, with travel and accommodation expenses covered. I didn't take it. The job was introduced by my brother's friend, who is a driver providing services for the interception personnel. During the new year, he came to eat at my house and discussed a lot of things. Even as a driver, he couldn't bear to watch it. It's not worth the money." Before this, videos from Beijing frequently showed outsiders, including both police and social personnel hired by local officials, openly abducting petitioners on the street. On May 31st, a petitioner from Shaoyang County, Hubei, was abducted while visiting Beijing to file a complaint. The vehicle used in the abduction was registered in Wuhan. The local governments of the CCP spend huge amounts of resources every year, blatantly intercepting petitioners. Beijing authorities occasionally punish individual grassroots petitioners to maintain the superficial legitimacy of the petitioning system. Not long ago, a video surfaced online showing petitioners angrily surrounding the interception personnel on the streets of Beijing. In the video, several interceptors attempted to abduct a petitioner, which led the petitioner to jump into a river in protest. Surrounding petitioners knocked one of the interception officers to the ground. They tore off his shirt and choked him, forcing him to go into the river to save the petitioner. The informant mentioned that the petitioner was later rescued from the water. In another incident, urban management in China has become a point of intense conflict. Recent events have led to violent confrontations between street vendors and urban management officers. Several videos circulating online show a man in a white shirt wielding a sharp object while confronting at least 4 urban management officers. The officers were knocked down one by one, with some fleeing the scene. Subsequent videos show 2 officers sitting on the ground, with one severely injured. At least 3 or 4 urban management officers were injured. The vendor holding the knife was eventually taken away by the police, and his stall was confiscated. A local netizen posted that the incident occurred on July 28th, when the urban management officers attempted to drive a melon vendor away and confiscate his electronic scale. This led to a heated argument, which escalated into a violent confrontation. Some netizens revealed that one of the severely injured officers has since died. On X, netizens commented, "Happiness must be fought for, not given as charity. Chaos will eventually happen. This is where 1,000 words are omitted." Another netizen commented, "When one place is chaotic, it's not a big deal, but when many places are chaotic, you can't suppress it. When elderly and weak petitioners start fighting back, and when the long-suffering street vendors start resisting desperately, you know the CCP has pushed people to the point of no return."